23-year-old Michael Tubbs thought he'd left his troubled hometown of Stockton, California.
I had no intention of coming back to Stockton when I left for school.
The Stanford University graduate who had interned at Google and the White House had business aspirations.
I was going to go East Coast, make some money or do something.
But then, tragedy called him back home.
One of my first cousins was murdered here in Stockton. He was one of 54 homicides, I want to say, that year. And then coming back home for the funeral and just seeing the impact it had on my family, on myself, and then realizing that a lot of other families in Stockton had that same feeling made me think I was going to come back one day.
Tubbs returned the next year, running for and winning a seat on the city council, representing Stockton's gritty 6th district.
There was two things we had promised the public we would do on the campaign trail. The first thing was to fight crime, and the second thing was to get us out of bankruptcy.
Before Detroit, Stockton was the largest U.S. city to declare bankruptcy.
Our community, Stockton, is a microcosm of a typical American mid-sized city. And the problems that we face here are problems that other cities are facing or will face in the future.
At the height of its financial difficulties in 2010 and 2011, the city had to slash public jobs so that it could keep funding pensions and big projects like the 12,000-seat downtown arena. The police department was particularly hard hit by cuts.
We were the most understaffed police agency in the entire country for a city our size or larger.
As street patrols dwindled, violent crime skyrocketed.
And so what we saw was a huge spike in the comfort level of criminals carrying guns. Really, it came down to everybody was carrying a gun, and they were using guns.
Now Stockton is trying to claw its way back to solvency and safety. Critics say the city's plan to emerge from bankruptcy won't work because it fails to cut public workers' pensions. A recent decision from a judge in Detroit questions whether pensions will be protected at all. But the city says it's cutting elsewhere, watching every penny.
I would say the first lesson would be the idea of using bankruptcy as a time to reset and to examine everything. Look at every decision you've made that had to do with money over the past years and figure out why was it made, whether we continue it or not, and figuring out how do we do more with less.
Nowhere is the more with less ethos evident than it is in police work.
Across the nation, police departments are learning to take a regional approach, rely on technology more than they have, police a little bit smarter.
Sounds like firecrackers, but...
Does it tell you the caliber, Mike?
Yeah, it will determine the caliber, yes.
In a downtown command center, retired police officers are paid to monitor dozens of cameras and gunshot sensors that augment a leaner on-street police presence.
We're able to jump on things real fast. We have software now that follows shots fired in the city. We can get on those real quick and hopefully have a camera where there's shots fired.
The technology, community involvement, and targeted policing are already paying off.
We've seen so far close to a 60% reduction in homicides and gun shootings this year compared to this time last year.
You need to go over to the courthouse after roll call, Jimmy, and take care of some business.
Recently, the city voted to raise taxes, which will pay for 120 new officers over the next 3 years. Stockton still has a long way to go. Despite safer streets, unemployment still hovers at 12%, and most city services remain meager.
Everyone wants to know how this story is going to end. You know, is Stockton going to, fold up shop, and are people going to leave the community like they're doing in Detroit, or are people going to stay here and fight and stick it out?
What are you saying? I'm sorry.
For Tubbs, the answer is in nurturing the next generation of Stocktonians.
So then the people who are voting for like the president,
by teaching government at a local charter school.
Working with the students, it keeps me grounded as to why are we in Stockton. It's not about politics, it's about the people, it's about these kids and making sure that they have every chance to reach their full potential like I was able to. Homework for tomorrow, everyone bring a question pertaining to this class in a song. And we'll keep playing.
In a song?
Yeah, a question in a song.